Once again, in case you found us, my name is Leah Msunga. I am the club president of Gaborone Toastmasters, and today we have the privilege of having our former club president, so she would be considered our IPP, immediate past president, to be our Toastmaster of the day. So this is the person who will be guiding our agenda for today. So our Toastmaster of the day is none other than Tumelo Mapalala, who is a biologist by profession and is currently employed by a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. In Toastmasters, she is the current Vice President of Public Relations. So if you saw beautiful posters, she's the one who created that. And like I said, she's our immediate past president, as well as the current area director of Botswana. Tumelo is passionate about leadership, communication, and personal growth. And outside of work, she enjoys reading and engaging in meaningful conversations. Please give a round of applause for our Toastmaster of the day, Tumelo Mapalala. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Good evening, Gaborone Toastmasters Club, visiting Toastmasters, and esteemed guests. It's my absolute pleasure to be your host today. As Leah explained, the Toastmaster of the Day is a role that typically entails being the master of ceremonies, or what we here in Botswana call the Motsamaisi. And today we kick off our month of March, Level Up the Sequel. We call it the sequel because in September of last year, we had a similar month where we challenged our members to deliver speeches and complete levels. And today we start off this month where we'll be having 5 Toastmasters meetings. So every single Tuesday, we'll be meeting to urge on our members to deliver those speeches, complete those levels, and essentially level up. Tonight, we meet under a beautiful theme. I love that our meetings here are themed. The theme tonight is words that build bridges. Words that build bridges. And indeed, it's often that words are misunderstood, misconstrued, but the ability to actually formulate words, speak clearly is a huge part of public speaking as well as leadership. So tonight we are gathered here today under this theme to kick off our month of Level Up. Without further ado, I think it's important that I mention that I'm not alone as usual. At Toastmasters, we have several roles that help us run our meetings smoothly. And at this juncture, I'd like to ask that my fellow role players make their way to the virtual stage to explain what these roles do and maybe inspire you to take up this role in future. So first and foremost, I'd like to invite our grammarian. Our grammarian of the evening is Toastmaster Brian Masheling. Brian, please make your way to the stage, explain your role, and tell someone why they should take up this role in future. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Just camera. All right. My name is Brian Masheling. Oh yeah, good evening to fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Brian Masheling, and this evening I am your grammarian. And my role in this meeting is to, promote language usage and check your vocabulary within the session. So I'll be noting how you use the English language and also noting how you've used the word of the day, which is magnanimous. And with our word of the day known as magnanimous, it describes someone who's highly minded, of high nobility, with a bit of generosity and forgiving. Oh, thank you for writing. An example includes true leadership is revealed not in how we win, but in how magnanimous we remain when others fall short. Another example could be, he was magnanimous in defeat and praised his opponent's skill. Thank you for that. And I'm done.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brian Masheling, for that wonderful description. And as grammarian or the language police, he will be delivering his report later, where he'll be sharing all that he has managed to note during his tenure as grammarian. Moving right along, our next role player is actually holding a dual role, so I'll ask that she explain both. Our next role player is Toastmaster Sakabo Malefo, who will be our iron arm counter as well as our table topics master. Sakabo, please make your way to the stage and enlighten us on what this role entails and inspire the next person to take it up in future. Thank you. Over to you, Sakabo.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I hope I'm visible. It's a bit dark where I am, but I'll be taking up two roles today, which is the Iron Arm Counter and Table Topics Master. The Iron Arm Counter's task for the evening is to ensure that and measure the use of filler words. These include or overusing the words and, well, but, so, and you know. I'll also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase such as I, or this means. And at the end of the meeting, I'll report on the number of times that each speaker has used any of these expressions. My other hat is that of Table Topics Master. And I will be encouraging you guys to exercise your impromptu speaking muscles. I have a couple of questions or prompts that you will be using to speak on for, I believe it's a minute. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sakabo, for letting us in on those two roles. As Iron Akamta, she will be practicing her listening skills as well as her organization skills as Table Topics Master. Thank you so much. Our timekeeper is unfortunately running late. Leah, are you able to assist in the interim? She will be about 10 minutes late. Hi, Leah, are you there?
Yes. Sorry, trying to look for the unmute button.
Yes, Leah will be our general evaluator tonight, but I'm asking her to hold another hat in that of timekeeper. So please do enlighten us on both those roles. Thank you.
All right. I think so. In terms of the general evaluator role, so my role is to evaluate the meeting from the beginning up to the end, and also to chair the general evaluation session. So that will be towards the end of the meeting, and to provide a report on the general aspect of the meeting today. And as the timer, we always say in Toastmasters, we want to start on time and end on time. And we also want to make sure that people speak within time. All our speeches are timed. So as the interim timer, anyone who comes to the stage is timed, and the main colors that we use when we are timing. So I'll start off with this. So this just means, okay, so that you know that that's the person who is timing you. So when the speakers reach the minimum time, so today we have majority 5 to 7 minute speakers, but we do have, sorry. Okay, we do have one icebreaker, which is me, but majority of the speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. So when the people reach the minimum time, so everyone is supposed to speak at least the minimum time, which is 5 minutes, the color will change to green, the background will change to green. It will be just nice and green like this. When you reach 6 minutes, yellow. When you reach 7 minutes, red, indicating that you have reached the maximum time and you now need to wrap up, as you've got only 30 seconds. And then for the table topics, since we have table topics, when you reach the minimum time, which is 1 minute, it will be green. At 1 minute 30, yellow, and at 2 minutes, red, because 2 minutes is the maximum time. And same thing with our evaluators, minimum 2 minutes, green, 2 minutes 30, yellow, and then 3 minutes red, indicating you've got 30 minutes to wrap up. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. My hand will be raised so all the speakers can be able to see the timer right at the first video in your screen.
Thank you so much, Madam GE, as well as the interim timekeeper, because indeed here at Toastmasters, we believe that if you can't time it or measure it, you can't manage it. But those were my role players, the ones that will be helping me run this program tonight. But there are several Toastmasters traditions. I think you have noticed that we have our own names for things, but they're pretty much normal things. My favorite of those traditions at Toastmasters has to be the toast. So, like I said in the beginning, we are gathered here today around or about a theme titled at a meeting themed, words that build bridges. So I've prepared a little toast for us in that theme. If you're able, please grab your glass or your imaginary champagne bottle or champagne glass and follow me in this toast. My toast goes as such. To the courage to speak with honesty, to the humility to listen with discernment, which was our word of the day a few weeks ago, to the wisdom to choose words that connect rather than divide. May our conversations strengthen relationships, deepen understanding, and inspire growth within and beyond this room. To words that build bridges, and to the leaders who use them well. Cheers. Thank you so much for indulging me. And with that, we'll be moving right along. At Toastmasters, our meetings typically take this format. We start off with our prepared speeches. These are our members that have spent time taking up or doing their projects and have now come to the end of those projects where they must deliver them now in the form of a speech. So they've spent time to go and prepare these speeches. The second segment will be table topics, where we'll be speaking off the cuff or unprepared. This one is for all of us to participate in, especially guests. This is where you get a taste of what we do here at Toastmasters and speak off the cuff for 1 to 2 minutes. The third and last segment, however, is the evaluation segment. If you have spent time preparing a speech, surely we should now comment on how you did. So that's where you will receive your evaluation. So moving right along, tonight we have a packed program. I did say that we've challenged our members to level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. Yes, as the song goes. So 7 of our members have found it fit to deliver a speech and push their progress on their pathway levels. For those who may be wondering, a pathway is typically a syllabus or what you want to achieve here at Toastmasters. So we're pursuing several different syllabi here at Toastmasters, and we'll be doing projects to contribute to those. We have 7 speakers on our program tonight. I do not confirm, but I believe most of them are here. Our first speaker is on the call. Our first speaker will be Brian Masheling, who will be evaluated by Toastmaster Chandadan Kwalume. So Chandadan Kwalume, please come to the virtual stage to tell us what the objectives of Brian Masheling's speech are before I introduce him on the virtual stage. Over to you, Chandadan.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and honest guests. I'm sorry I can't switch on my camera at the moment. My bandwidth is a bit low. So the objective of Brian's speech, before I go into it, Brian Masheling is giving his first ever speech at level 1, presentation mastery. So basically here, his task was to write a speech with a purpose. And the objectives are that the speech should be well structured and it should give a clear purpose. At the end of the speech, we'll then evaluate him giving 3 good things that he did right, 2 things to improve on, and 1 thing that he should challenge himself with. With that said, thank you very much. Over back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Tandadam Kwalume. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Masheling with the speech titled Choosing Words That Reflect Who I Want to Become. Choosing words that reflect who I want to become. Brian Masheling.
Ooh, all right. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Choosing words that reflect who I want to become. Good evening, and thank you all for being here in attendance, fellow Toastmasters and guests. There is a version of me that already exists. Not physically, not visibly, but in possibility. He is calmer under pressure, cleaner in direction, magnanimous in disagreement, measured in speech, strategic in thought. The question I wrestle with is not whether that version exists. The question is this: are my words today aligned with the person I want to become? Because here is what I've learned. Identity is not built in grand announcements. It is built in daily vocabulary. Every word is a brick, a foundation, so to speak. And I realized something unsettling. My ambition wasn't evolving. Oh, sorry, not evolving. My ambition wasn't elevating to the levels I want, leaving my language behind. In my future outlook, I want to lead at a higher level, yet I feel my responses are still reactive. I want to influence people, but I feel like I'm speaking only to inform. I want to build bridges, yet I find myself distancing from people. As the saying goes, vision without alignment is illusion. If I want to become a visionary, my words must travel way, way ahead of me. The leader I want to become does not rush to dominate a conversation. He listens first. The leader I want to become does not shrink in disagreement. He elevates it. The leader I want to become has a bit of nobility to him, or kindness, that makes him magnanimous in other people's minds and hearts. So instead of saying things like, that won't work, I should ask myself these questions. How could we make this work? Instead of saying redundant things like, you're wrong, I could say encouraging things like, let's examine another angle or work on a different approach. A third point I can think of is, instead of defending my position as I usually do, I think I should defend possibility. Because words do more than describe reality. They design it. History was not only shaped by action, it was shaped by language. As you've seen over history, we have come across various declarations, movements, and visions from renowned leaders. You may know a few, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, or from the benevolent kind like Mother Teresa, or the wise kind like Mother God, fucking God, the Indian guy, forgot his name. But every transformation began with someone articulating a future that did not yet exist. So if I'm building my future, shouldn't I speak like it already belongs to me? When pressure arises, the person I want to become would say, let's respond strategically. When credit is uneven, the words I want to say is, we succeeded together, not I succeeded together. And when I'm always confronted with opposition, I should make sure I respect the other person's opinions as well as mine, so we can both build something stronger together. That is the power of intentional language. And here's a deeper truth my CEO has been drilling into our minds every single day. People don't follow titles, they follow tones. They follow your composure, they follow your clarity, as well as the conviction you deliver. So I therefore ask you, what future version of yourself would you like to have? You need to find a way to align yourself between your thoughts and your speeches. Combine action with legacy. So I began asking myself this simple but uncomfortable question. If someone only knew me through my words, would they see the leader I'm becoming? Or would they see hesitation, impulsiveness, defensiveness? Vision is just not about seeing ahead. It's about speaking ahead. It's about choosing the right words that create the atmosphere you want to inhabit. And that is where bridges are built. Bridges between generations, cultures, personalities. Now I ask you this. Does it match to your vocabulary? Does it match to your identity? Does it match to who you want to become? Because the person you want to become is already forming, one sentence at a time. And the bridge between who you are and who you'll be is built with words. And that, I give my thanks.
Go, Brian! Madam Zoom Master, please play the background music.
I
Well done, Brian, for that beautiful speech. I picked up so many nuggets that blew my mind. But thank you for that wonderful speech. I'm thinking that I may have burnt the bridge between who I want to become and who I am, but we'll work on it. With that said, thank you, Brian. We love the speech and we hope to hear more from you in future. As a note, just to our interim timekeeper, please note that our timekeeper is in the room and you can hand over the reins to her so she too practices the role. There's so much to learn here at Toastmasters, and we would like for our members to keep taking the baton and learning these tasks. So Leah, please hand over the reins to our timekeeper. She will be taking over from our next speaker. Our second speaker is Lamim Teta. I'm not sure if Lamim Teta is in the room. Is she? Please. I don't see Lamim Teta. I don't see Lamim Teta. Julie, I'm so
It's not on the
sorry.
call.
Yes, she's not on the call. We're going to have to skip right along because these things do happen. Hopefully, she'll join us shortly. Moving right along, our third speaker of the evening is Toastmaster Luago Estamfole. Luago is on the call, and indeed, she is delivering a speech and will be evaluated by Toastmaster Liam Sunga. Liam Sunga, please make your way to the virtual stage to tell us what the objectives of Toastmaster Luago Mfolo's speech are.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. So our next speaker, Rajo, is presenting on the project introduction to vocal variety and body language. So the things that I will be paying attention to is the use of the vocal variation and the body language as the speech is being presented this evening. Those are the key things that I will be looking out for in Loaho's speech. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Leah, for that introduction. Loago's speech is titled The Grand Chariot. The Grand Chariot, Toastmaster Loago Estam Fulwe.
I hope I'm visible.
Yes, you are.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I grew up believing something very dangerous. I believed that confident people were chosen. Like maybe at birth, God looked down at some babies and said, this one, CEO, this one, leader, and this one, public speaker. And then the rest of us, we are just spectators. For a long time, I was a spectator in my own life. I would sit quietly in rooms, watching old people speak. The kind of people who sound like they rehearse even when they order food. Meanwhile, I'm just there saying, can I have the same thing they're having? I thought they were riding something I didn't have. A grand chariot. Polished, powerful, effortless. Mine felt like a donkey cart. Somewhere stuck between Gaborone traffic and the gravel road to Muchuti. There was a moment standing right here in Toastmasters where my hands were shaking so badly. I wondered if the lectern could feel it. My heart was beating like a traditional drum at a wedding. And my brain said, Loago, sit down and respect yourself. But something else said, stay. This was the first time I touched the reins of my chariot. Not because I felt ready, but because I was tired of watching. You see, in Botswana, we know something about long roads. We know about dust. We know about driving for hours and seeing nothing but sky and possibility. And yet we keep driving. Why? Because we know the destination is worth it. Confidence is the same. It is not born in you. It is built on the road. Every speech I gave after the first one wasn't perfect. I forgot lines. I spoke too fast. One time, I'm sure my voice cracked so hard, it applied for its own passport. But something changed. I stopped waiting for a grand entrance. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I realized something powerful. The grand chariot does not arrive fully assembled. Not at all. You build it with trembling hands, with uncomfortable growth from that little shell of yours, with courage that sometimes feels very small. And here is the truth that makes this emotional for me. I used to think leadership never meant being afraid. Now I know leadership is being afraid. and moving anyway. It is speaking when your voice shakes. It is raising your hand when your mind says, do not embarrass yourself. It is showing up, especially when you doubt yourself. Toastmasters, some of you are waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel worthy, waiting to feel like that kind of person. Let me tell you something. There is no such thing as that kind of person. There is only a decision you make in your mind. Tonight, someone in this room, in this call right here, will choose to stop watching and start driving. And when you do, the chariot won't be perfect. But nonetheless, it will be yours. And trust me, once you take the reins, even the dust behind will look like glory. Thank you.
Please give Lafa a wonderful round of applause. Zoom master, play the sound. Yes, Lafa, I remember when I was tired of living in the shadows and I had to build my own grand chariot from the ground up, elbow grease and all. Thank you so much for that beautiful speech. I hope you inspired someone in the audience today to finally take that step forward. Moving right along, our fourth speaker of the evening tonight is Halaletam Mutusi. Halaletam Mutusi is doing the innovative planning, I believe, or dynamic leadership. My apologies. Yes, dynamic leadership level 1, project 4. Project 4 is evaluation and feedback. In this project, you must deliver 2 speeches, and tonight Halaletam is delivering her second speech. She gave a speech at first where she got feedback and is to apply the feedback that she got into a second speech. So tonight, as her evaluator, if we haven't already guessed it, I'll be evaluating her. I'll be looking out to see if she indeed incorporated the feedback that she got prior to delivering or after delivering her first speech. So it's the same speech, she delivered it, got feedback, and will be applying the feedback. I have been sent notes on what to look out for. I will deliver or give more insight during my evaluation. Yes, so Halaletam Mutusi today will be delivering a speech titled, My Inner Villain Has a Business Plan. My Inner Villain Has a Business Plan, Halaletam Mutusi.
Thank you, Chair. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Oh, let me just fix. Oh. Is it visible on your end? Sorry about this. I believe that success dependent on intelligence, time. I needed more skills, perhaps a little bit of luck. It to me that the greatest obstacle standing between me and my success was not external at all.
The surprising realization was that the competition did not come from the market, the people around me, nor circumstances. It was myself. More specifically, it was the voice inside my head. That was the day that I realized that there is an inner villain inside me, and he has a business plan that is well organized. The villain is not dramatic or obvious. He doesn't shout negative statements or tell me that I will fail. He is calm, rational, and very responsible. He presents arguments intelligently and very mature. And that is what makes him very effective. He presents fear as logic and procrastination as preparation. I began to realize these truths and observed the patterns whenever I set personal goals. I decided I will wake up early, exercise regularly, and work on tasks I've been postponing for several months. At first, I began to research instead of starting immediately working on the goals I had set for myself. I watched videos on morning routines. I read articles on productive systems and compared different planning strategies to find the best fit. That was when I realized that I was accumulating a lot of information, but I was not making meaningful steps towards achieving my goals. That was my first clue that I was hiding behind preparation. My inner villain had convinced me that I needed to prepare before I can make changes. Another sign appeared in the way I treated promises. Whenever my friend organized an event and said we should attend, I made sure that I was punctual and arrived on time. Yet, when it came to waking up earlier, exercising regularly, and setting goals for myself, I renegotiated the agreement. If you ever find yourself endlessly preparing and rarely starting, breaking promises, and offering intelligent explanations for delays, it may be worth a while to pause for a moment. You may not lack visibility, opportunity, or timing. It might simply mean that you have an inner villain who has a business plan that is well practiced. Now, the encouraging news is that you have an opportunity to plan and reinvent yourself. In the end, the goal is not to silence the inner voice because it exists for a purpose. The goal is to understand it, learn from it, and manage it, and ensure that it does not control your life. This is your life, It is your vision, and you should take back control and become the magnanimous CEO you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zoom Master, for that applause. I love it so much. It makes sure there's no awkward silence after a speaker because our speakers are doing great tonight. And without further ado, I'd like to move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker, apologies, many notes. Our next speaker is Kagiso Kilebemang, who will be evaluated by Limpi Ibadi. Limpi Ibadi is our visiting Toastmaster from Namibia. They mentioned that they may have trouble with their network. Could I just attempt to see if you are able to speak to us tonight? And then in the event that you can't, we'll just try and find a replacement. Limpi, please come to the virtual stage and attempt to give the objectives of Kagiso Kilebemang's speech.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Can you hear
We can
me?
hear you. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Today, I am going to evaluate Kasingo Kalebemaga. I hope I get this name correct. If I'm not, please forgive me. And I'm going to his speech is understanding your communications style. That is his speech title. And his speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of his speech is for the member to learn about different communication styles and to identify their primary style, and also for the member to share the impact of their style on others. So my purpose or my purpose today is to observe on what the member will excel at, and also maybe to advise what the member will want to work on. So, fellow Toastmaster and guests, allow me to call Kasingiso Kalepehe on stage. Kasingiso Kalepehe, understanding your communication style. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Limpi. I'll just reintroduce. Our speaker is Kagiso Kilebemang. I understand that, geographically. But Kagiso Kilebemang, understanding your communication style. Understanding your communication style, Kagiso Kilebemang.
Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, why didn't they understand what I meant when I was trying to be helpful? Or wondering, why was that conversation so difficult when I thought I was being clear enough? Now, I want to ask you something. That what if it is not what you said, but how you said it? So tonight, I want to talk about something that quietly affects our relationships at work, at home, in leadership, and even within ourselves. And that is understanding your communication style. Because once you understand how you communicate, you are now able to understand how other people experience you. Now, recently, I took a communication style assessment, and honestly, I was a bit nervous about the results. And I was also curious because I was wondering, Will I be a direct communicator, or would I be a initiative communicator? But now the results were as follows. My primary communication style is a supportive communicator. But before I get more into detail about that, I want us to talk about the 4 main styles that many of us fall under. 1, directive communicator. With these people, they walk into the room with purpose. They are direct. They are result-orientated. They focus on the details and focus on the results. However, some people might find them to be demanding or impatient because they just want results. The second type is an initiative communicator. With these people, they are extroverts. They brighten the conversation. They bring you in. They bring so much energy. And I call them extroverts because they talk all the time. However, on the downside, other people may feel that they talk more than they listen. The third type of communication style is an analytical communicator. With these people, they are precise, they are disciplined, and they are cautious. They approach problems methodologically, and they value facts. For me, I like associating them with accountants, people who want exact numbers. On the downside, people might feel that they are perfectionists or that they are distant. And now with the last communication style, we have a supportive communicator, myself. We are patient, we are cooperative, and we are sympathetic. They are good listeners and they're often peacemakers. And after reading that analogy, I realized that I felt seen. I felt like someone was watching my life. Because most of the time in a conversation, instead of thinking about what I want to say, I'm always thinking about the other person. Do they feel comfortable enough to communicate their views? And like all other communication styles, each strength has a disadvantage. With supportive communicators, because we dislike conflict, because we are magnanimous in nature, or that we hate sudden changes, sometimes it may appear as if we are indecisive. Because with us, we like to pause. We want to think. And we may hesitate. But while empathy is important, clarity and decision-making is as equally important. Now, what I've realized is that communication is not just about speaking. It is about awareness. It is about awareness of how your tone might affect another person, how your silence might be interpreted, and awareness that other people might have a different communication style from yours, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now imagine a direct communicator speaking with a supportive communicator. One wants results, one wants thoughtful decision making. And normally they might clash and there might be conflicts. But if there's understanding and awareness, there is less frustration, but more respect for each other. Now, understanding your communication style does not put you in a box, but it gives you a mirror. It asks you, what is your natural style of speaking? And once you know that, you're able to understand how other people perceive you. So today, fellow Toastmasters, I have a question for you. What is your communication style? And how does it shape how other people experience you? Because once you understand that, you're able to connect, you're able to understand, and you're able to be a better communicator, a better listener, a better leader, and a better human being overall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kagiso Kilebamang, for that beautiful speech that reminded us in quite a magnanimous way that we need to truly invest in our communication styles and we should be aware of them at all times. I'm sorry, I just had to use the word of the day, magnanimous. Please remember that that is the word of the day and you're encouraged to use it. Please, please, please. Our grammarian, please share it in the chat just so that everyone remembers that the word of the day is magnanimous. With that said, let's move right along to our sixth speaker of the night. Unfortunately, Lame has not joined the call, so I believe she may not make it. Our sixth speaker tonight is Chandadam Kwalume, who will be evaluated by one of our favorite visiting Toastmasters here, visiting us from South Africa, from Umlazi Toastmasters, Toastmaster Julie Davis. Julie, please come onto the virtual stage to tell us what the objectives of Chandada's speech are. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, visitors, and most especially Chandada. I hope I pronounced your name with respect, because I do certainly offer my evaluation with respect. Please be magnanimous towards me about my pronunciation. I've just been given this job at this moment, so also please be magnanimous towards me if I don't quite have all the details correct. However, it is my understanding that the path for this speech is dynamic leadership. The level is level 2. The time allocated for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. And these are certainly words that build bridges, because the title of the speech is Leading with Magnanimity. Magnanimity, my leadership bridge. It's so lovely to have this opportunity to evaluate you. Back to you, Tumelo, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Julie. So with that said, I'd like to ask that Chandada Nkwalume come onto the virtual stage. Chandada Nkwalume with the speech titled Leading with Magnanimity, My Leadership Bridge. Leading with Magnanimity, My Leadership Bridge, Chandada Nkwalume.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. When I completed my leadership style assessment, one word stood out to me: connector. Not commander, not controller, connector. I realized that my leadership style is not about being the loudest in the room. It is about ensuring every voice in the room is heard. You could be transactional, democratic, autocratic, servant. There are so many leadership styles. I naturally lean toward collaborative and transformational leadership. I lead by building relationships, aligning people to a shared vision, creating space for contribution, especially in a professional environment where strategy, stakeholders, and expectations intersect. I have learned something very important along my journey. You can instruct compliance, but you inspire commitment. There was a moment during a high pressure engagement where different emotions were all over the room because we had different stakeholders that had competing priorities. The tension filled the room. You could literally feel it. It could cut through bread. Deadlines were tight. Opinions were strong. I had a choice. I actually had two. One, I could have either taken control and dictate the direction and say, this is the route we're going to take. Or two, I could pause and listen. Guess which choice I took? That's correct. I chose to listen. I asked questions. I acknowledged concerns. And most importantly, I chose to be magnanimous, generous in spirit, even in disagreement. They softened up. The resistance just melted away like ice cream on a hot summer day. The room now became collaborative. Instead of defensive, the guards were down. People moved from protecting positions to actually building solutions together as a team, as one. The experience confirmed something about my leadership style. My strength is not in controlling outcome. It is in creating environments where people feel safe enough to contribute to the outcome. The strengths of my style are very clear. I build trust quickly. I encourage collaboration. I help teams feel heard and aligned. And when people feel heard, you should remember, they engage more deeply and want to do more and could even go an extra mile. But every leadership style has its blind spots. So you can imagine, a collaborative leader can delay decisions because sometimes we over-accommodate and we can avoid necessary conflict in the name of harmony, just for peace sake. I'm learning that being magnanimous does not mean being passive, not at all. Leadership still requires clarity, boundaries, and sometimes difficult conversations, which we all avoid. True magnanimity is not avoiding hard conversations. It's having them with grace. As uncomfortable as it can be, once you get into that space, it's really not as bad as you think. Our theme speaks about building bridges. As I reflect on my leadership style, I realize that this is exactly what I do. I build bridges between people, perspectives, priorities, and my primary tool that I use are my words. The way we communicate determines whether we divide or we unite as a team. A leader who says, because I said so, do it now, it builds authority. But a leader who says, help me understand your perspective, now that is partnership. That is me. Partnership lasts longer than authority. Because leadership is not about dominance, it is about direction with dignity. It is about influence with integrity. So, my question to you, what bridge are you building with your leadership style? Are your words strengthening or are they weakening? Thank you.
Indeed, are your words weakening or are they strengthening? Thank you so much, Chandala Nkwalume, for that beautiful speech on your leadership style. Thank you so much. Both hers and Kagiso's enlightened us to another aspect of Toastmasters, which is leadership. And in level 2, you pretty much get to explore your kind of leadership and the way you communicate. But with that, we'd like to move along to our 7th speaker of the night. If you have our program, the program changed a little bit, but our 7th speaker of the evening is Leah Musunga. Leah Musunga is the lady who was our interim SAA, interim timekeeper, but she is delivering a speech. And because there was a few schedule or program changes, Leah is delivering an icebreaker speech. An icebreaker speech is the first ever speech you give at Toastmasters. But in Leah's case, I'm sure you'd be puzzled. A first speech, Leah. This just also means that she's starting yet another pathway. So Leah is starting the persuasive influence pathway. So she's starting from the very beginning, level 1. And it requires that she too deliver an icebreaker speech. For our timekeeper, please note that this speech is 4 to 6 minutes, unlike the other 5 to 7 minute speeches. I will be her evaluator. And I'd like for you, the audience, to know that an icebreaker is typically a speech that you use to introduce yourself to your club. And you can share whatever aspect of your life you're comfortable sharing, but sometimes also you're allowed to add why you joined Toastmasters. So tonight, Leah is giving us a speech titled, Why I'm Still Here. Why I'm Still Here, Toastmaster Leah Musunga.
Why am I still here? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. Recently, in the month of February, I celebrated my 6th anniversary in Toastmasters. 6 years? How has time flown? There I was 6 years ago attending my first Toastmasters meeting. A friend had invited me. I had a fear of speaking in front of people. So when my friend gave me that invitation, I was happy to attend to see what this Toastmasters was all about. If you ask my friends, they'll say, Leah, you fear speaking in front of people? They didn't know that inside I was shaking whenever I stood to speak in front of people. Seeing people presenting with so much confidence gave me the courage 6 years ago in February to join Toastmasters and start my Toastmasters journey. All I wanted to do was work on my public speaking, get that confidence, be able to think while I'm speaking in front of people and organize my thoughts, because I used to feel like my thoughts were jumbled whenever I stood up to speak or present. A few months later, our then club president asked me if I would be willing to take up a leadership role. Leadership role? I came to Toastmasters to speak. I don't want to be a leader. Let me just rewind a little bit. I come from a family of 5 children, and I am the second born. So I don't have firstborn pressure on me. But as the first girl in the family, I have that pressure on me. Taking care of my younger siblings, being a little bit more responsible. And whenever I've had to be responsible, it had meant that I have to sometimes take up things that I don't even want to do. Every once in a while in my life, I've been challenged to do things that I thought, no, I can't do this. But I've always been surprised at what happens when I take up that challenge. So when the then club president asked me if I could take up a leadership role, I said, let me take up this particular challenge. As it's something I've been doing a bit in my life. And that started another journey in Toastmasters that I never thought I would take. I was then the vice president of public relations, didn't know how to create a single poster, had to ask Big Brother, who's in IT, help me create a poster. We worked on it in PowerPoint. Surprisingly, fast forward a few years later, here I am. I work in Canva and I train other people in using Canva to create posters. Why am I still here? It's been 6 years. It's the leadership side of Toastmasters that I discovered. From being the vice president of public relations, I went on to become the vice president of education, the person who deals with members, went on to become an area director, overseeing 5 clubs in Botswana, then went on to become the division director, logistics manager of the district, and here I am today serving as the public relations manager of District 74. Some might actually say, I've come full circle. VPPR, public relations manager, definitely a circle, yeah? I'm still here because of the leadership aspect of Toastmasters. When I started off my journey, never did I think that I would be here. And the reason why I love the leadership aspect of Toastmasters is because this provides you a learning environment where everybody is cheering you on to succeed as a leader. No matter what role you undertake in Toastmasters, there's always training, that people supporting you, the district is supporting you. And even if you make a mistake, no one is going to fire you. I love that. Because everybody wants to cheer you on. The learning environment of Toastmasters is what has allowed me to stay here 6 years later. You may just be at the beginning of your own journey and thinking, I want to talk. That is brilliant. There's so much that you can take in talking. If that is what you want, you can participate in speech contests and even go beyond the club and our district. You might want to take the journey of leadership. There is so much that you can learn there. And you might be surprised at who you will grow and become. 6 years later, I am still here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in your own journey. Maybe you will also be standing and telling us why you are still here. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Please give Leah a wonderful, a loud round of applause. I had to wait for her. Thank you so much, Leah, for that beautiful speech. And indeed, you managed to introduce yourself again to the club because you have come full circle. But with that, I'd like to just quickly ask that our timekeeper deliver the timekeeper's report just for the prepared speeches segment so that our evaluators can appreciate or at least know how long our speakers spoke for. Tsolofelo, please take the virtual stage to tell us your report.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As the timer for today's meeting, my role was to track the time of each speaker and signal when they reach the green, amber, and red lights. Here are the results. Loago, 5 minutes, 20 seconds within time. Kalaletsang Mutusi, 5 minutes, 45 seconds within time. Kagiso Kelebemang, 6 minutes, 34 seconds within time. Chandadang Kulume, 5 minutes, 58 seconds within time. Leah Msunga, 6 minutes, 45 seconds within time. Overall, excellent time management today. Most speakers were within the allocated time. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Madam Toastmaster, I can add the time for Brian. I sorry, forgot to send it to the
Yes.
timer. Brian took 6 minutes, 35 seconds.
Right. Thank you so much. And that was our timekeeper's report. Madam Zoom Master, are you ready for us to vote for the best effort speaker?
Yes, let me launch the poll now. Something
All
should
right.
pop up on your screen to vote for the best effort speaker of the night.
Yes.
The only one who wasn't here was Lame. Lame wasn't here. Apologies. Don't vote
yes,
on Lame's
yes,
spot.
Lame was preloaded. So please vote for your best effort speaker. We call it best effort speaker because it's not really a competition, but we like to reward the one who did great tonight. So please vote. While you're voting, I'll just ask that our next segment get ready. Our next segment, as I explained earlier, I said that we have prepared speeches, after which we have a segment called Table Topics. And our Table Topics master introduced herself earlier tonight. That was Sakabo Malefo, and she will be running that segment. Sakabo, please make your way to the stage and get started with their segment while people are voting. We're at 59%, so keep voting. Keep voting for your best effort speaker. We will close the poll soon. But Sakabo, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Good evening once again, fellow Toastmasters, visiting Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I have the pleasure of being your Table Topics Master this evening, and today's theme that has been reiterated multiple times is words that build bridges. My table topics are there's 7 table topics that I have delineated by the word bridges. So I'm gonna first start by asking for volunteers before I start electing victims. Who's willing to volunteer to take up the first table topic? Ah, yes, it's time for me to pick a victim. All right, all right, all right. I'm going to pick Julie. I see your fingers up.
I wasn't very high.
But I saw it. Pick
Just
any
like
letter.
going up and down.
Pick any letter. I think it's great for you to start as well so that our guests can see what table topics can look like. So pick any letter in the word bridges.
G.
Okay. G. All right, Julie. What word or words should be banned because they build walls and not bridges? What word or words should be banned because they build walls, not bridges?
No. No. Good evening, Madam Topics Master. No. Is my first word that can't be used that stops us from building bridges. No. We constantly can't say we can't do things. We don't want to do things. We don't know how to do things. No, we're not going to try it. Those words should be banned. I don't even want to say what those words are. I want to change this whole topic. Please, can we rather talk about what we should be doing? That's the trouble with us, is we're always talking about what we shouldn't be doing and what that person did wrong and what that person did wrong and what I used to do wrong and what you do wrong and you. Why can't we speak about the nice words? Hi, how are you doing today? Can I open the door for you? Your shopping bag's heavy. Can I help you to pick it up? How are you doing today? Isn't it nice that the weather's cheerful? Why do we have to have negative words? I refuse to even engage with these negative words. Let's ban them altogether. I don't want to mention them. No. No. Let's rather go with yes. Encourage. Be grateful. Greet people. Everybody. Ordinary people in the street. Somebody that you meet in the shop. A worker. Somebody who you think you are too good for. Speak to them with a positive word. None of those negative words. Because you never know. Every time you speak to somebody with a positive word, you might change that person's direction in the day because of your kind word, your soft word, and your smile. So no, I'm not answering that table topic. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Julie, for that very robust engagement with my controversial topic. I really appreciate the flip that you did on that topic. I've noticed that we've had a reduction in the number of participants. I feel like people are scared of my table topic. So let me pick a happier one, a more positive one, so people don't run off. Gonna pick on Thulaganyo Zelda. Sorry, the gallery just left. Thulaganyo Zelda. Are you on the line or can you hear me? Hello. Okay, let me defer to take a volunteer. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Is everybody trying to hide away from me, from my table topics? I'm gonna need a volunteer team.
I'd like to volunteer Lechani.
All right, Lechani, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Pick any letter in the word bridges except the letter G.
B.
Tell us about a time you used words to unite a team. Tell us about a time that you used words to unite a team. Hi, Lechani, did you hear my question?
The person is unmuted. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
come the voice is not coming through.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening either. Okay, I think let me just quickly move on, just in order to save time and pick on somebody else. Oh yeah, I think she was having network issues. She just fell out of the meeting. Larona Sihurutsi, are you on the call?
Yes,
Emma,
I
can you
am.
please pick a letter in the word bridges, except the letter G?
I'll go with B.
Okay, tell us about a time you used words to unite the team.
Off the top of my head, I'd give an example with my first encounter in the workspace, or to be more specific, in the corporate world. A lot of the time when you are new, you do not know what you are doing. But my perspective has always been to prioritize learning skills wherever you are, no matter the environment or the circumstances. And further to that, to always highlight an individual's, or rather to always highlight what I find inspiring about an individual, the combination of the prior perspective in prioritizing skill learning and highlighting an individual's strengths resulted in me building a team within my colleagues within various departments, not to be burdened or weighed down by whatever work circumstances are at play. So in my specific instance, we were a team working during the COVID season. So while everybody was on lockdown, we were in charge of ensuring that those who are isolated or those who are quarantined within the entity I was working for were taken care of. My department was in charge of ensuring that the team on the ground ensures that everything is necessarily taken care of. So what I did was just to always encourage the team by highlighting what their strengths were at any given choice, and just to highlight to them that this is a great opportunity to learn how to work under pressure. So it wasn't more of a leadership than it was a moment to amplify or to perpetuate camaraderie amongst my fellow colleagues. That's what I can think off the top of my head. I hope that sufficiently answers the question. If not, your guidance is more than welcome.
I think you answered the question wonderfully, Larona. I really appreciated you highlighting aspects of camaraderie and collectivism. Just to move on to my next question, because I'm worried that I may have used a lot of time. Madam Toastmaster, please keep me honest. Do I still have time?
Yes, please take one more, please.
Okay, all
I'd
right.
like
I'll
to
take.
volunteer a guest, our guest,
Okay.
Dumelo Tebe.
Hi, Tumelo.
Hi, everybody. Oh, this was unexpected.
So it's impromptu speaking.
Yeah, it really is.
So we're going to be flexing your impromptu speaking muscles today. Pick any letter in the word bridges except B and G.
I'll go with the letter I.
All right. I. What, in your opinion, is the most powerful word for resolving a conflict? What word, in your opinion, is the most powerful for resolving a conflict?
Does it have to be a word? Can it be a phrase?
Even a phrase.
Okay. I would like to say, I hear you. To be heard is to be seen. Oh God. To be heard is to be seen. So when somebody actually hears and understands where you're coming from, that's where that bridge of togetherness, that togetherness comes in, because we're reflecting that, we're both reflecting that we're reaching a middle at, oh, I'm so sorry. We're reaching a middle point. And at that middle point, we connect, we oh, I'm sorry. Can I stop here?
No worries, Dumelo. You did very well. You did very well. You did better than I did. I forgot my lines in a speech I prepared myself. So don't worry at all. You did very well.
All right.
I see Lechan is back online. Madam Toastmaster of the Day, please allow me to give her an opportunity to give an impromptu speech.
Yes, please, you can try.
All right. Lechani, you can pick any letter. There's R, D, E, S left.
Letter R.
Okay. Describe a time where someone used a word that instantly built a bridge with you. Describe a time where somebody used a word that instantly built a bridge with you.
Good evening, everybody. Can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I'm happy to do so. Describe a time where somebody used a word that instantly built a bridge with you. An instance where somebody used a word so powerful that you felt an instant connection with them.
Okay. Good evening once again. Am I on mute? Oh, okay. A time where a person used a word that instantly built a bridge between us was when they told me I'm capable of doing anything I put my mind to. That didn't only give me assurance, but it built confidence in me. Confidence that reassures me that I can do anything that I put my mind to. Thank you. Woo!
I think what's very important for us during this engagement, thank you, Madam Zoom Master, for those hands, because it's been awfully quiet. But it's also very important that we exercise this muscle of impromptu speaking and being brave. That's how we can build a bridge towards our future selves who are confident enough to speak on a 2 seconds notice. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, for allowing me the opportunity. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Sakaba, for that segment. I believe that our guests got a taste of what we do here at Toastmasters. Am I audible? Unfortunately, please allow me to keep my camera off. I'm in the dark. The power just went out, and I'm hoping my router will hang on until the end of this meeting. But with that said, I'd like to ask our Zoom master, are you ready for our voting for the best table topics? We had Julie, Larna, Tumelo, and Lechani.
Yes, I have launched the poll. So as you see something pop up on your screen, so while you are voting, we're going to head into our final segment, which is the evaluation and the feedback session. I think that should be fine, Madam Toastmaster of the Day?
Yes, please. I'll just hand over the reins to you, our general evaluator. Over to you, Liam Sunga.
All right. So thank you very much for that. And as we now start the evaluation session of the meeting, so this is the time where we give feedback to the speakers. And we are not criticizing, we are providing feedback for the speakers so that they could improve in their next speeches. One thing we always say in Toastmasters, that feedback is the breakfast of champions. And you deliver a speech and you get given feedback in the same meeting so that you can improve for your next meeting. So without wasting any time, we're going to go straight to the feedback for our first speaker. So our first speaker of the evening was Brian, and Brian's evaluator was Chandada. Chandada, if you could please come to the virtual stage and share with us your feedback for Brian's speech this evening.
Thank you, Leah. Good evening once again, everyone. Before I go into it, kudos to you, Brian. Your first speech. Keep it up. The only way from here is up, up, up. So I'm going to start off with 3 things that you were good at. You were eloquent. You were clear and audible. You spoke from the heart. You were smiling. You had facial expressions for days. And you aligned with the theme and the word of the day as you were going through your speech. 2 things for you to improve on: your body language and eye contact. So would like to see more of your body language because you were too close to the camera. Maybe the next speech, just step 2 steps or a step away from the camera, such that we can get to appreciate that body language. And then another thing would be when you forget something or a line, try move on. Don't dwell too much on it. You are doing great. So just keep reminding yourself that it's okay. It's part of the learning process. We keep going forward. One thing I'd like to challenge you on, I think I've already touched on this task. It would be so that we can see your half body, so that we can get to appreciate your body gestures more. And in closing, I'm looking forward to your next speech. As Tumelo said earlier, this month, every single week, we'll be meeting. So I'm looking forward to seeing you up on that list as a speaker every Tuesday. Awesome. Keep it up, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Chanda. And I'm sure, I think, love the fact that you gave it in the structure of Toastmaster in terms of what he might want to work on and also what he did well. Hopefully we will see him more in this month. So we'll move on to our next speaker of the evening. So that was Loaho, who was being evaluated by myself. So I will get into the evaluation for Loaho. So Loaho's speech was focusing on vocal variety and body language. So I want to start off by saying, in terms of the body language, I think, Loaho, you did really well. It is really visible from your speech, the way you used your hand gestures and your movements to aid in your speech this evening. You talked about powerful, your hands were shaking. So it was very clear that you had incorporated some body language into your speech. And even just some of the slight movements that you made definitely aided with the speech that you presented this evening. I also liked your speech. It was a little bit funny at some points. So I thought that it's always nice also to incorporate humor in a speech. I thought that part you did really well with the speech that you presented this evening. So in terms of what I picked up that you may want to work on for your next speech, obviously because this meeting is online, so we're in Zoom, so this is more have to do with Zoom presence. So one of the things that they say regarding Zoom is that when you're speaking, you should be speaking directly to the lens. So your eyes should be straight towards the lens, because it looked like when you were presenting your speech, you were sort of looking down at us, which indicated to us, the audience, that your lens could have been at a lower level, but your lens should be directly in front of you. So you're speaking directly to the lens, then it looks like to us, the audience, that you're speaking directly to us. So that's one of the aspects regarding your Zoom presence. Then the second thing I will touch on is also in terms of your proportions, because I could see just slightly above your chest and above. So there were some gestures that you did that happened to be just slightly below the frame of the screen. So if you had adjusted your screen, normally if you're on a laptop, you can either move it up or down, something like that. So we see more of your body, so that when you do use your hands and they're clear, it's much more visible in the screen that we are seeing. Then I think one final item in terms of to work on is part of your speech objectives talked about vocal variation. You spoke sort of on one tone, so I want to challenge you in your next speech. Try and use different vocal variations, whether it's you speaking maybe slower, or maybe increasing the speed of your voice, or maybe raising your voice, or even lowering your voice. Sometimes even adding characters to your speech aids in you adding that vocal variation. Then you have variety in your speech. Other than that, well done in presenting your speech. Obviously, you're slowly developing your public speaking skills. Love the incorporation of the gestures that you use. If you're online, be mindful of your Zoom presence. Other than that, well done. Looking forward to your next speech. With that being said, I will then move on to our next evaluator for our next speaker. That is Halalatsang was our speaker, and the evaluator was Tumelo. So Tumelo, if you could please give us the evaluation for Halalatsang.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. My apologies about my video, but I'll move right along. Good evening once again, Gaborone Toastmasters, visiting Toastmasters and guests, and most especially to you, Khaleletsa Mutusi, who I had the pleasure of evaluating tonight, as you gave your speech titled, My Inner Villain Has a Business Plan. And indeed, you had me intrigued from the title. As I mentioned to our audience, you delivered a speech before and you got feedback, and you were delivering the speech for the second time. From your notes, your two most evident observations were to present while standing and to incorporate vocal variety. So for your benefit, my evaluation will take the simple format of 3 things you did well, 2 things you may want to work on, and 1 way to challenge yourself. And indeed, the first thing you did well was that you incorporated feedback. You delivered your speech whilst standing, which was the first step. You also delivered a well-structured speech where you had an intro, you gave a story, and you also left us with a message, because you did indeed figure out that your inner villain had a business plan and they were serious and you were about to derail it. The third thing you did well, in my opinion, was that you incorporated body language. Because you gave your speech standing, we could see your hand gestures clearly, we could see your actions as you mimicked jogging, and we got to appreciate the intentional body language you added to your speech. However, there are 2 things that I believe you should work on. As your notes showed, your notes said that you were to work on vocal variety. From my observation, you worked on pace and pauses. You incorporated those very well. However, vocal variety is multi-layered in that it has tone, it has pitch, it has volume, and it has speed. All of these are varying forms of vocal variety that you can use to your advantage. Tone just means that from time to time, go higher or lower. Pitch similarly in that way, how loud this how strong this voice can come out, and volume, as is suggested, go a bit louder or a bit more softer, whilst speed just speaks to you speeding up or slowing down at various points of your speech. This does in fact help you not sound monotonous. Another thing I think you may want to work on is unintentional body language. Clasping your hands in front of your body signals your audience that you are nervous. So sometimes just relax and only use those hand gestures if and when necessary. So one way to challenge yourself, Khalaletsang, is to add speech to your story. You told us about how you started or you were intentional about changing some things in your life. But who said what that enlightened you to this decision? Who did what? Who said what? What did you say back? Such things allow for you to then incorporate all those other aspects of vocal variety that I spoke of: the tone, the pitch, volume, and the speed. So, in summary, Khalaletzang, the three things you did well: you incorporated feedback, you gave a well structured speech, and you incorporated intentional body language. Two things you may want to work on, however, are vocal variety and unintentional body language. One way to challenge yourself is to add speech quotations to your speech so that you are able to show vocal variety. Thank you, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Dumelo, for that detailed evaluation of Khalaletsang's speech this evening. We'll now move on to our next evaluator, and that is Lempi, our visiting Toastmaster, who was evaluating Kahiso's speech.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and guest. Thank you, Kahiso, for the beautiful speech. You understood the purpose of your speech because you spoke about the type of communication style you learn. And I just want to highlight on what you excel on. There are three things which you did good. Your body language were good. You were using your ear contact nicely, and then your hand gestures when you were giving some few explanation about the communication style. Your speech control, you were within times as the timekeeper indicated, and your speech was also relevant, or your speech was also relevant to the purpose of your speech titles. And what I want you to work on is your vocal variety. You just have the same tones. You have monotones. At least you're supposed to change. Have a higher voice or maybe a lower voice so that the audience can enjoy your speech. What I want you to challenge you on is may you please put on the story or maybe an example of yourself next time. That's what I can challenge you on with. Otherwise, it was an awesome speech. Thank you, Kahiso. I'm looking forward to hear your next speech.
Thank
to you,
you.
Madam.
All right, sorry. Thank you so much, Lempi, our visiting Toastmaster from Namibia. for coming through and providing feedback for one of our speakers. So we'll move on to our next evaluator, evaluating Chandada. We had Julie. Julie, if you could please come to the virtual stage and give us Chandada's evaluation feedback.
What a pleasure to evaluate this speech. We had so much to learn from Chandada. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. How am I going to structure my evaluation? First of all, I'm going to tell you what I thought was really good in the speech. In the middle, I'm just going to pop in a few things that we could all learn so that we too can improve our speeches. And thirdly, I'm going to share with you some little things which are my personal favourites about Chandada's speech. To start off with, what impressive content. And indeed, the pathway was dynamic leadership. And we learned so much about leadership styles, leadership techniques that was so helpful to every single one of us here. There was loads to learn. The content and the structure of the speech, excellent. The hand gestures were so graceful and easy. They weren't forced. She listened. She spoke about alignment. She spoke about this person and that person. So her hand gestures were natural and easygoing and added to the value of her speech. They didn't seem forced. They just flowed with the content. I love the way she leaned into the camera at one point and engaged with us directly and then pulled herself away again to continue. And what about the vocabulary and the phrases that were used, such as, she used the word of the day so often, but also partnership lasts longer than authority. It was packed with great vocabulary. Something that perhaps we could all try to apply, which is a trick, is not to start with the honorifics and then a strong beginning to the speech. A little Toastmasters trick is to do the strong introduction and then do the honorifics and burst forth into the content of the speech. Just switch it round a little bit. Something else that could just help a little is when you say something like the softest voice in the room, speak like you are speaking with the softest voice in the room and not the loudest, most dynamic voice in the room, like when tension fills the room. Pace, pause, and pitch. Those are the three ingredients when we present. And did you notice what each word there began with? Pace, pause, and pitch. Something which our speaker could improve upon, but what she used so well in the speech, because she played with words. I love it when people play with words. She spoke about protecting positions, alliteration. Can you hear the P and the S? Stakeholders intersect. The controller connects. Something else I thought was lovely was she spoke about the difficult conversations, and she sort of like shrugged, and it was so natural the way she did it, because that's the way we are. We want to avoid the difficult conversations, and she did it with so much aplomb. She demonstrated the body language and the movement beautifully. Toastmaster trick, scored A+. She spoke about three things: people, perspectives, and priorities. And what did she do as well? Julie's favorite, alliteration, because each one of those 1, 2, 3 words began with a letter P. I love the playing with the sounds. Great technique for every speech is to leave the audience with a challenge, which is what our speaker did tonight. She concluded with, help me to understand. Help me to understand about your dynamic leadership. Look at your own dynamic leadership. So she gave us a challenge, a speech full of content, full of learning for us, and then something for us to take away and think about, what can I do to improve? Thank you for teaching me so much tonight. Much appreciated by everybody. Thank you. Back to the general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Julie, for that detailed evaluation of Chandada's speech. Now I'll invite again Tumelo to give the evaluation for our final speaker this evening. Tumelo?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Good evening once again, and good evening to you, Leah. I had the opportunity of evaluating you as you delivered your speech titled, Why I Am Still Here. And boy, oh boy, could I relate. You've been here 6 years, I've been here just 3, but at some point, I also didn't want to be a leader. Look at me now. Thank you so much for that beautiful speech, which had a powerful opening where you reeled us in and indeed you reintroduced yourself to your home club, Gaborone Toastmasters Club, 6 years later and several pathways later. The 3 things you did well there are that you told a story, you told a personal story of yours, how you came to Toastmasters and why you have continued to stay. You also put a twist on introducing yourself, as much as it was centered around why you joined Toastmasters and who you've become because of it. You also led us to appreciate your background. You're a second child. You also brought us to your current status and all the roles you're playing here at Toastmasters. Indeed, you have come full circle. The second thing you did very well was that you used stage presence. At first, I thought, is Leah walking off of the screen? Only to realize you are really anchored to one side, the left, then the center, then the right, which you did very well for an online meeting. You slided through that view. The third thing I believe that you do very well is that you incorporate vocal variety. Most especially, you use emphasis very well. I took note that you like to emphasize that you or I did 1, 2, 3, this and that. You really take advantage of emphasis, an element of vocal variety most people don't always use. However, I do think, Leah, that you may want to work on, I'm sorry, I'm biased, but I believe that vocal variety and body language go hand in hand. And maybe perhaps we were looking through the screen, but I could not really fully grasp your hand gestures to appreciate them. In the same way, I couldn't exactly appreciate the other elements of vocal variety, such as tone and speed. But however, I do want you to challenge yourself by incorporating pauses. I don't know if it was just me and my network, but sometimes I felt you were speaking very fast and some points did not land. Please incorporate pauses so that we can fully appreciate what you're saying. So, in summary, the 3 things you did well, you told a story. We love stories here at Toastmasters. You introduced yourself through that story. You had stage presence and you displayed emphasis as vocal variety. The 2 things to work on: be more conscious of the body language as well as other elements of vocal variety. One way to challenge yourself is to incorporate pauses in your spoken word. Other than that, Leah, it was an absolute pleasure to watch you take the stage and give yet another icebreaker on yet another pathway. I look forward to hearing more from you in future. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Tumelo, for that detailed evaluation. Definitely will take on the points that you have stated. And at this point, I'd like to call the role players to give their reports. So I'd like to invite our grammarian, Brian, to let us know how we use the English language and the word of the day, magnanimous. Because definitely it has been a magnanimous meeting today. And how was that word used today? Brian, you may take the virtual stage.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now back to the word of the day, which is magnanimous. First off, we'll start off with our first speaker, who was Miss Luago Mfulwe. Her title was The Grand Chariot. I liked one of her phrases of tired of living in the shadows. It was a good expression. I'm not sure if it was my network, but I didn't hear use the word magnanimous. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Luago. But other than that, some good use of the English language. Then on to our next speaker, we had Miss Khaleta Mutusi. Her speech was titled My Inner Villain. My inner villain has a business plan. I liked how you used one of the words accumulating within your speech. Then you also used the word of the day, which is magnanimous. And then I think I remember you closed it off by saying, let me see, you can become a magnanimous CEO you have become. I think that's the phrase I was trying to look for. That's a good approach you did there. On to our next speaker was Kariso Kilebemang. And your speech was titled Understanding Your Communication Style. I like how you managed to give the context or categorize the different types of communication styles. You gave the direct approach, analytical one, supportive, and I think the fourth one was maybe compassionate. With you also used the word magnanimous. And one of the phrases I picked up from you was shaping our experiences. That was a wonderful one. On to our next speaker, we had Ms. Chandada Nkwalume. Your title was Leading with Magnanimity, My Leadership Bridge. One of the first phrases which caught me by surprise was resistance melted away. That felt like robust. And I loved how you also used the word magnanimous within your speech. Kudos to you. Then our last but not least speaker, Miss Leah Musunga, with your icebreaker on why am I still here? You used two phrases I enjoyed, which was fast forward, as you were giving us your history. Then you also gave us a come full circle. I like that expression as well. I'm not sure if you used the word magnanimous within your speech. But then at that, thank you for the good speech you gave us. Now on our table topics masters, I don't know if I should evaluate them as well, but let me start off with Miss Julie. I love how she caught us by surprise with the no, I am not taking this table topics topic or title. That is a good approach. Then with Miss Laruna, I love how I use the word, it's a tough word, even I can't pronounce it, camaraderie. Camaraderie, that's the word. Then with our other two table topics masters, sadly I didn't hear your speeches because my network was a bit funny on my end. But other than that, thank you guys for your good speeches. That was a wonderful experience. I've now gotten to increase my listening capabilities. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian, for that detailed evaluation report that you have provided for us. I would now like to ask our counter, Sahabo, to please come to the stage and tell us about the use of our filler words this evening.
Good evening once again, fellow Toastmasters, visiting Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. My task this evening is to provide a feedback, a report back to our speakers who prepared speeches for today. I'd like to start off by saying that I'm extremely proud of you all for your bravery in giving speeches at this level, during this Level Up March. Overall, I'm proud of all the speakers who use strategic pauses and speaking in a measured tone in order to reduce filler words. This indicated your effort in practicing and preparation, and I'm proud of you all. In terms of who used filler words, Brian used 3 filler words, but this was not a huge issue because in my view, it was your first speech, and taking that first step has to be applauded. Shandada and Halaletsang each used 1 filler word. The rest of the speakers used their strategic pauses well and managed to get through their speeches without using any filler words. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Back to you.
Thank you so much for that. And then I guess in terms of the general evaluation, so I'll ask the timer to give the report after I conclude. So the meeting, in terms of the planning, it always starts way before we actually meet online here on Zoom. And the meeting, most of the participants, I think, were already set at least about a week ago. And really glad that we had more than 5 speakers on our agenda today, as stated by our Toastmasters already at the beginning, that this month it's a level up month and we're trying to get as many speakers as we can. So that also provides a variety for the people who are coming and listening. You get to hear a variety of speakers from a level 1, 2, 3, different types of levels and different types of objectives that they're meeting. So that provides a very interesting type of meeting. So well done, Gaborone Toastmasters, for the members taking up those roles. Our Toastmaster of the day ensured that they were able to guide the agenda really well in terms of introducing other role players. And we had one member who didn't attend the meeting, but the Toastmaster of the day was able to just advise on that and moved along regarding our agenda. I think if there's one thing for us to improve on as a club is to try and get more people to take up some of the roles, because obviously we have people wearing more than one hat. Our club currently is sitting with about 32 members, and for you to have a successful meeting, you need at least 20 people to take up roles. So I think that's 4 speakers, 4 evaluators, timer, blah, blah, blah. So you need 20 people. So I think we can definitely do that as a club. So if you're a member of Gaborone Toastmasters, want to encourage you, take up a role. You can learn as you take up a role. That is also part of giving a speech. Then that way you also get to learn, and we don't have to have many people wearing many hats. I think that is the one thing I can say in terms of helping the club for us to move forward. So at this point, I would like to invite our timer to please give us the timing for our table topics, the timing for our evaluators, and the other role players. Zulu Fellow, if you could please give us our timing.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The results for table topics are Julie Davis, 2 minutes, 34 seconds within time. No, 2 minutes, 34 seconds. She went a little over time. Lechani Mpucha, 46 seconds within time. Larona Sihuruti, 2 minutes, 25 seconds, a little bit over time. Dumelo Tebe, 49 seconds within time. And the results for evaluations, Chandada Nkulume was evaluating Brian. Her time is 2 minutes, 4 seconds. Within time, Leah Msunga, evaluating Loaho, 3 minutes, 5 seconds. A little bit over time, and Tumelo Mapalala evaluating Khalaletsang, 3 minutes, 47 seconds, a little bit over time. Lempi Ipadi evaluating Kagiso, 1 minute, 58 seconds within time. Julie Davis evaluating Chanda, 5 minutes, 33 seconds. Okay. And Dumelo evaluating Leah, 3 minutes, 28 seconds. Yeah, a little bit over time. That's all from my side, Madam Toastmasters. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Fellow, for keeping time. I know we're slightly over 8. I think normally when you have more than 6 speakers, the evaluation also takes a little bit longer. I was looking at our agenda, I realized I think the timing wasn't allocated well. So if you could just indulge me for 5 more minutes. So let me just share our results from the voting that happened this evening. So we voted for best table topics and best effort speaker. So let me just share my screen. So we'll start with best table topic speaker of the evening. Drum roll, da 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 da. And our best, as voted by you, table topic speaker is Julie Davis. The award goes to Julie. Woo, woo, woo. Well done, Julie. And then our best effort speaker of the evening, drum roll, da 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 da, goes to Loaho. Well done, Loaho. Woo, well done, Loaho. And of course, we always say thank you. Oh, sorry, I wrote general evaluator. I'll correct that. Limpy, who was an evaluator this evening, and Julie, who was also serving as an evaluator this evening, our guest Toastmasters who came through. I will change that one. So as stated right at the beginning, we are back here next week, Tuesday, same time. Our goal is to challenge our members to complete at least the level that they're on by the end of March. That is our goal for the month of March. So I want to encourage you, all our members, even if you're new, if you're doing level 1, remember there are 5 speeches in level 1. Today you can do icebreaker, but obviously nobody did icebreaker. Well, I'm challenging myself to complete at least 2 levels because I'm currently doing certain levels. So I've told myself I want to complete those 2 levels by the end of March. I hope you guys all have a goal to complete at least the level that you are doing by the end of March. That's why we're doing this month. And just before we go again, I just want to find out from one of our guests, how did you find our meeting today? How did you find our meeting today? Okay, the one who's written guest. Hi, Tumelo Tebe. I just want to ask you, how did you find our meeting today?
Hello again.
Hello.
How did I find today's meeting? It was very engaging. It was very welcoming, very supportive. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be here next week. Hope to see more of you guys.
So when are you joining?
I'm not too sure about the process just yet.
Oh, okay. No, we will definitely reach out and advise on the process, or after the call ends, you can just stay on. We normally stay on the call at least 5 minutes to answer any questions that anybody might be interested to know, if you want to know more about Toastmasters and how you can also start your own journey. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming. And yes, we look forward to you joining us again next week. With that
Thank you
being
for having me.
Yeah, with that being said, words that build bridges. Definitely, this is Toastmasters, and we are here to practice our public speaking, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the month of March as we practice words that build bridges this particular month, as we will be leveling up. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. See you all next week, Tuesday. Follow us on our social media platforms if you want to know more what's happening here at Gaborone Toastmasters. Good evening.